Okay, let's begin today's tutorial. If you have any questions, you can text your question, and my colleagues will try to answer your questions, or I will try to answer your questions on the QA part. And my name is Michelle. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. So, first of all, if you want to do the configuration by using our setup tool, you have to select the right IP. Let me show you how to do this. First, click Option and select an IP of your computer. We recommend to use Ethernet instead of Wi-Fi because Ethernet is more stable. So if you connect both Ethernet and Wi-Fi, please use Ethernet. This is my IP address. So press OK.
Yep.
And then click Faster Search. Then your devices will be shown on the middle of the screen. Now, let's begin our tutorial with the relay module. You can double-click this, and then you can enter the interface of the relay module. Now, let's look at the basic information of our relay module. In this part, you can make some labels. We always recommend to put the name of the light. This means you can remember which circuit is connected when you remotely log in, or if you come back another time and don't have any documents with you. So please always remember to make some labels for each channel. And we have on delay. You can protect delay, off protect delay. You can set it as your preference. The protect delay protects the relay from going on or off again within the number of minutes on the setting. So if you want to use this function, then you can set it. And this box is for test light. If you tick this box, you can hear a sound, or you can watch your light turn on or turn off, so you can make sure that your light is working properly. This is the basic information of our relay module. Please note, if you set something, for example, you enter a name of this light. Light 1 for channel 1, light 2 for channel 2. Then please always remember to press save. Otherwise, your programming will not be saved. So let's move on to next part. The zone setting. In this part, we are now able to group different channels into a zone. The reason to do this is that then you can control groups of channels together using scenes or sequences. You might want to do this if you have one module serving two different rooms. Let me show you how to create a zone. For example, I have a bedroom in my house, then I can add a zone. This is my bedroom. And then I can, for example, channel 1 and channel 2 belong to my bedroom. Then I can click this. First press this and then click this. Then you see channel 1 and channel 2 are divided into my bedroom. Then we can call it a zone. This is how to create a zone. But please note, always remember to press save. If you have, so you can create different zones as you like. It is up to you. And if you do not want this zone, you can click delete zone. Then it will be deleted. Now let's move on to the scene setting of the module. Now I can choose a zone. For example, I have just set one zone. It is my bedroom, then I have to choose it. Then I can create different scenes of my bedroom. For example, please note that scene number 0 is set by default, and in scene number 0, channel 1 and channel 2 will be off, and you can't change it because it is set by default. So you can make a remark, all off, for scene number 0. Then you can program scene number 1 to number 8. For example, I want scene number 8 to open all the channels of my relay in the bedroom. Let me make a remark, all on. Then just click this to choose on for channel 1, on for channel 2. Then remember to press save. And I want another thing, channel 1 on and the channel 2 off. Just make a remark, on and off. Then you can, first I want channel 1 on and channel 2 off. Then I just have to click and select its status. Then press save. You see, I have created 3 scenes of my relay module for my bedroom. This is how to create scenes. Let me show you how to create sequence. Please always remember to choose a zone for your sequence. If you forget to do this, then it will cause some problems. For example, I want sequence number 1. I want to make a remark, show. First, you have to choose a mode for this sequence. You can choose random mode, forward and backward mode, forward mode. In normal operations, we always use forward mode. Run times, you can choose its run times. You can set never stop, 1 times, 2 times, 3 times. it is up to you. I want this to run 2 times. And this is the step. What is step for the sequence? The step is taken from, is equivalent to the scene. So you can choose, you can choose how many things contained in this sequence. I want 4 things in this, you see? Then if you choose 4, this will appear 4 things. If you choose 1, then there is only 1 thing. So it's up to you. I choose 4 things in this part. So you can make this, please remember to make this valid. And then you can choose the first step, maybe I want them all on. The second step, 1 on and 2 off. The third step, all off. And the last step, all on. So you can program it according to your preference. After doing this, also you can choose its durations. Durations is how long it will running. Let's say 5 seconds. So please always remember to press save. Then you have created a scene of it. You have created a sequence for it. Then press save. Then you have successfully created zone, scene, and sequence of the relay. Now let me show you how to use our DLP panel to control it. Always remember to press save. Now let's go to our DLP panel. Double click it and then we can enter into the interface of the DLP panel. In this panel, you can enable bottom page 1, bottom page 2, bottom page 3. So you can enable the pages of the panel. If you don't want music page, just uncheck it. And you can set the LCD backlight, button LED, and the long press time. You can set these parameters. So let me show you how to control the relay module. Click 1 to 4 pages, and then you can do the programming. First, for example, I have set light 1 and light 2, and in the bottom one of the first page of the DL panel, I want to control my light 1. Then remember to select a mode. I just want to control a single channel of a light, so I have to choose a mode called single on and off, and then press save. Then please click target setting to set what you want to happen. Then press read. And then in this part, you can see the subnet ID, device ID, type, parameter 1, parameter 2. So As I want to control the first channel of my relay module, I have to enter the subnet ID and device ID of my relay module. So apparently it is 5.1. So I have to enter the subnet ID of it 5, and the device ID is 1. 5.1. And the type, because I just want to realize single channel control, so I choose single channel control. And then, so you don't know these parameters. What is these parameters? So you can press save in this part, and then the software will give us some hints. Parameter 1 is the channel number, and the parameter 2 is its intensity. So you can, as I want to control channel number 1, so this is channel number 1, and the parameter 2 is its intensity. For relay module, its intensity only have 0 and 100%. So I have to, because I want to turn on channel number 1, so enter 100% in this part and press save. It's not enough. You have to press save in this part too. It is very important. So please press this. So you can go to the DLP panel to test whether it can control light 1 of the relay module. Or you can double click this button to test. You can hear a sound so that you may know that the control is realized. Double click it. You see? Can you hear this sound? Double click and the sound. So this is how to control a single channel of the relay module. Then you may wonder how to control the scene of the relay module. Then I will show you how to control a scene. Scene number 1. Scene number 1. I just want to realize a single control, so I just choose the single on and off mode and press save. And also press target setting to set the targets. And press read. The same. You have to enter the ID of the device. It's subnet ID 5 and device ID 1. And its type is quite easy to choose because in this time we want to control the scene of the relay module. So we choose scene as its type. Then you don't know this parameter, right? Then press save. And then it will give you some hints. So the zone, as sometimes you may forget it, then you can go to the relay module again to see. I just created bedroom as my zone, and this is zone number 1. So I want to control the scene in my bedroom. I can enter zone number 1. And the scene, as I have just told you, that scene 0 is all off. So I want to control scene number 1 or on. 1 and press save. And also press save in this part. Then this is how to control the scene of the relay module. If you want to make a test, please double click it. Yes, can you hear a sound? You see? This is how to realize the sync control. And let me show you how to control the sequence. Always remember to choose a mode for it. And it's also a single on and off control. So then I choose this mode. And click Target Setting, Read. Enter the subnet ID and device ID of the relay module and its type, obviously sequence. Zone number 1. And the sequence number, I have just only created a sequence, so the sequence number is number 1. And press Save. Press Save in this part and double-click it to test the sequence. See? There is a sound. Press Save. This is how to realize single channel control, sync control, and sequence control of the relay module. Now let's go back to the relay module. If you want to make sure whether your setting is right or not, you can also choose a scene and click Output on Site. Then you can hear a sound, or you can watch the light on or not to check if your setting is right. This is Output on Site. And sequence setting also have this function, so you can press this to see whether your setting is right or not. Now I want to turn all the lights off. And our relay module also has a function called Starlight. Starlight is a function which enables you to automatically turn off a light after some seconds. For example, maybe you always want the light to turn off after 10 seconds. So enable this light and enter the time for it, let's say 10 seconds. So in this option, you have to make sure that the Starlight is ticked. Now let's press Save and test it. Can you hear a sound? Means it is working. The light has now come on after 10 seconds. It should turn off again. And another feature we have on this page. First of all, let's disable the light. Let's disable this light. Sometimes you may want to use the relay as curtain controller. You may need the feature that the open and close can now be on together. So we can create something 1 and 2 exclusion in this part. Tick this. So we can create that. This means that you can connect the open and the close of the curtain to the channel 1 and 2. If you tick this, then when channel 1 is on, then when you tick channel 2. Channel 1 will be off. Only one of them can be on or off. This is the total functions of the relay module. So, am I understood? Okay, if you don't have questions, let's move on to the dimmer. Double-click this. You can change the address of the dimmer. This is the old subnet ID, old device ID, new subnet ID, new device ID. So you can enter this to modify the address of the devices. And double-click it to enter the interface of our dimmer module. The same, you can enter a name in this part to make a label. We have low limit, high limit, max level, curve, limit, low limit in combination dimming. Low limit is when the dimming value is below the low limit. Its brightness directly changes to 0 and the setting range from 0 to high limit. In normal cases, leave the low limit at 0. High limit is a setting for when the dimmer reaches maximum. It will jump to 100%. If you put the high limit, for example, at 80, it will dim up to 80 and then jump to 100%. Then if you dim down from 100%, it will go from 100 directly to 80 and then dim down again. It is for problem lamps that have any kind of issues in the top range of dimming. It also could be used if the lamp has no difference between 100% and 80%. It will get a better result. And the curve. The curve is used to set the profile of the brightness. If some lamps have bi-dimming curves, when you try to dim up or dim down, it's very difficult to see the dimming. You can try the different curve. And this box is used for testing. If you tick this, then you can test whether the light is working or not. Let me make some remarks for the light of the dimmer. Okay guys, I will not re-explain the sequence and the scene. I just want to explain the basic information of the relay because they are the same. So I will not re-explain it. Okay, so the only difference between the dimmer and the relay module is that, for example, let me create a zone first. For example, this is my reading room. No. I don't want to explain this. For example, if I want to use my DLP to control the first channel of the relay module of the dimmer, so let me show you what is the difference between a dimmer and a relay. For example, I want to control the first channel in the dimmer. Choose the mode for it, press save, and then click target setting and press read. Then enter the subnet ID and device ID of the dimmer and choose single channel control. Press save. And I have just told you that relay only have two different intensity, that is 0 and 100%. But in the dimmer, you can enter any intensity if you want. For example, 50, and press save. And then press save again in this part. Then this is the only difference between dimmer and the relay. So this is how to realize the lighting control of our products. Actually, our all lighting control is very similar. The programming is very similar. If you know how to program relay and dimmer, then you may know how to program other lighting products of HDL. So let's say we finish the lighting control. So now let's move on to the curtain control. I will use our two-channel window curtain controller as an example to tell you how to realize curtain control. Double-click it, enter into the interface of it. Now you can see channel 1, the curtains. Channel 1 forward, backward. Channel 2 forward, backward. Forward is equivalent to open, backward is equivalent to close. And you can always remember to make a remark of it, in case you forget it. For example, this is my curtain number 1. And always remember, you have to measure the duration of the, let's say, in simple words, it means that if your curtain have to spend 5 seconds to fully open, then you have to enter the duration for, let's say, 5 seconds. So you have to measure it. Because these two-channel module do not have the function to measure it automatically, so you have to enter this. But we have other products that is able to measure the duration automatically. If you want to learn about this, please contact your sales manager. He or she will send you the data sheet. So in this module, you have to enter the duration of it. Let's say 5 seconds. And press save. It is very important. So please note, you have to enter the duration of the curtain. And this is on delay and off delay. You can program it if you want. And you can also click test to test if the connection is good. And then press save. After this, you can use our DLP panel to control it. Actually, all our HDL panels has the same way to program. If you know how to do program in our DLP panel, you will know how to program other panels. So it's quite convenient. Let's use the button number 5 to control my cursor number 1. Always remember to make a remark. Cursor number 1. And this is also a single on and off control, so choose this as its mode and press save. And click target setting, read, and then quite easy, enter the subnet ID and device ID of the curtain module. It is 5 and 6. Then 5, 6. And its type is curtain switch. And save. So you can see this parameter number 1 is its curtain number, so it's number 1. And it's open, so choose open and press save. Press save. This is, I have just set open of the curtain. Then open. And this press curtain number. Use the 6th button to close curtain number 1. Press save. Make this. Choose the mode for it, and also click target setting. Read. Enter the subnet ID and device ID of it, and choose a type for it, parameter, channel, and close. Press save. And press save again. So I have used the 6 buttons of my DLP panel. Then sometimes, as there are many buttons, so sometimes we may forget which button to control what targets. So let me show you how to put icon or put graphic into the button so that you will have a label. Let me press save by now. And go to the function menu, and then click image. You see this is the DLP panel. It's subnet ID 5, device ID 4. So select it. And let me double click it. You can copy it, and then first of all, you have to, if you want to program different pages, then you can tick the box. So you can program it, and you have to choose a size. It's have 4 different sizes. This is used for This size is used for double width of the button. You want to combine these two buttons together, then you can choose a double width. But in this part, I just set one button of it, then I choose this size. And then stick light one. It's too big, so you cannot see it, right? Then you can adjust it. Okay, so you can see it. And the second button is scene number 1. No. It's not. So let me make some abbreviation. It's too big to see it. For example, scene number 1. You see, it's better. It's not good enough. Let me press this. Then, okay, let me select 2 of them as example in order to save some time. So I just select 2 buttons as example. Now, drag this graphic into this part. Drag this into this. Then here a remark. Because the button have 2 status, one is on and the other is off. So you can click inverse. Then it shows in black. Then drag this to this part. Drag this and then upload. Click upload. So please note, always remember to click inverse, because if you do not do this, how do you know the status of your light or any other devices? So if you use inverse function of it, so you will know the status of your devices. It is very important because sometimes you may have different panels to control the same light. So how do you know whether it is on or off? So it's important to do such step. So you have successfully made a remark for the buttons. Then you can go to your panel to check if it's shown on the button. So this is how to put a graphic on the buttons. So let's move on to next part, air conditioner. We have an air conditioner module or HVAC you may be more familiar with. Let me show you how to program this. Double-click it to enter its interface. This is the basic information of it. You can set your fan startup protect delay, fan switch off delay, compressor startup delay, compressor switch off delay. So this is the delay, and this is the fan voltage setting. For high speed is 9 volts, medium 5 volts, low 2 volts, and auto wind. You can choose its steps. 3 steps in normal operations we use, or you can choose stepless. It is up to you. And you can click this button to test the mode. So this is the basic information of it. And in this, you can read the real temperature of it. This part is for test and control. So you can read the current temperature of your system. And let's move on to AC setup. Here is the AC mode configuration. Normal mode, we have normal mode, complex mode, force cooling mode, compressor protect, enable. You can set this. But today, we just talk about normal mode. Complex mode is not covered in this tutorial. And in this interface, you can click configuration. In this part, you can enable this. If you don't want to use the fan speed like high, you can uncheck it. Medium, uncheck it. If you only want auto, then you uncheck all of this. It's up to you. And its mode, you can select which mode you want to enable and press save. We usually use all of it, so we don't change anything. So if you do not enable, for example, the cooling mode, so if you set up like this, in the DLP panel, the cooling, the AC interface will not appear cooling, so you will not see cooling in your DLP AC page. If you just click auto, then in your DLP AC page, there is only one mode will be shown, that is auto. So we always use all of it and press save. If you change anything, please remember to press save. And in this part, you can set up the temperature range. Cooling, for example, you want what range, then you can enter its range. It is set by default. I just want to use the default range, so I don't change anything. Press save. Here is the AC setup. Now let's go to the operation configuration. Here we can decide whether the mode is operating fully control mode or the slave mode. See, fully control, slave control. If you use as fully control mode, it means it will manage the controls itself within the module. If you set it to slave control mode, then it will be managed by the AC control within the DLP panel. if you select slave mode control, then you should go to your DLP, and if you select slave control mode in the air conditioning mode, then you have to, let me show you, go to the DLP panel and its AC page, and you have to tick this control AC running. So you have to make sure the control AC running is selected. Let me repeat. If in the HVAC module you choose slave control as its mode, then you have to go to the DLP panel and make sure that the control AC running is selected. This is very important because only one of them can control the running. So make sure only one of them is able to control the running. Let's save. Because in this case, I want to run it as fully control mode. So I don't have to select this in the DLP. So I just uncheck the control AC running and press save. Now, as I chose fully control as my mode, then let's move on. You can adjust the temperature in this part, or you can, if we want to use the AC controller, then the temperature is very important. So you may want to choose the source of your temperature. Sometimes you can use the inside sensor. Then if you tick this and you have to enter the sensor number, tick all of it for sensor. It is up to you. You can tick one of it or you can tick all of it and enter the sensor number inside your AC module. But today I want to use the DLP panel as my temperature source. So I tick refer to the bus sensor. And as I want to use DLP as the temperature source, so I have to enter the subnet ID 5 and 4 of my DLP. In this part, 5 and the device ID is 4. Then this is the subnet ID and device ID of my DLP. And the channel is number 1. This will always enter channel number 1. Please remember. Then in this part, you can choose the interval of the temperature, of reading temperature. I want it to read the temperature every 30 seconds. So I select 30 seconds. So it's up to you. You can choose what you want. And press save. So we finished the programming of our AC module. And in this, you can test it. You can read the current temperature of it, AC power. You can test on, read, save. This is how to do the test. So we have finished the setting of this module. And after this, you may want to use your DLP to control your AC module. Then let's move on to the DLP panel. Always remember to press Save. DLP and go to the AC page of the DLP. And the subnet ID and device ID is the subnet ID and device ID of our air conditioning module. Please look at it. It's 5 and 11, so enter its subnet ID and device ID. And its type. And we just use number 1. So we enter channel number 1 in this part. And its type, because as you are our new customers, now we often use version because you buy our latest devices. So we always use version number 2, support to control the air conditioner by the number. So you can choose version number 2. And after all this has been set, press Save. So you have finished the setting of your DLP. Then you can realize the control of your AC module. And here is also the test and control function. You can use it to test it. So you don't have to work to the panel to see if it's working or not. It's very convenient. So this is how to use our DLP to control our AC module. And in our HVAC module, there is a menu called Other Function. Let me tick this. In Other Function page, we can enable the host function. The AC module is the host AC module. We can input the ID of other slave AC. The maximum slave AC can be 8. So you have to enter the slave. You see, it's 8. Slave number. Some people may do not understand this function. Let me explain. For example, you have, let's say, 8 HVAC module of our company, and you want to control them. So you have to, for example, you set number 1 HVAC as the host AC module, and the others will follow the host AC module. This is this function. So they will do the same as the host module. If you choose slave number 1, enter this, and then you have to enter the subnet ID and the device ID of slave number 1. So you can finish doing this. Press Save. So this is the AC module of our company. Now, let's move on to the floor heating module of our company. In this part, I will show you how to use our heating module. It is quite the same as our air conditioning module. double-click it and enter its interface. In the basic information interface, you can set date and time. And you can use daylight saving. And you can enable or disable the outdoor temperature. If you enable this, please enter the sensor ID. Guys, please note that in our floor heating module, we have some built-in temperature probe. So this is the sensor, and each sensor has an ID. So if which sensor you want to use, please enter the sensor ID of it. So mine is 13, then press save. But I don't want to use this function, so I just untick it and press save. Let's move on to this page. You see, this is a 4-channel floor heating module, so it has 6 channels. So that is the heating ID, heating number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. And you select one of them and to make a remark and press save. In this part, I just want to use heating number 1. And this is for my bedroom. Save remark. So temperature source setting. If you want to use its internal source, then you just have to enter the sensor ID of it. If you buy this, we will send the sensor as well. So it has built-in sensors. Mine is 37, so I just enter this, the number of the sensor. It is carved into the sensor, so you have to look at it and enter the ID of it. Mine is 37. Or you may not want to use the internal source. You may want to use external source. Then, in normal case, we usually use the panel source. So, for example, I want to use my DLP as the temperature source. Then I just have to enter the subnet ID of my DLP, 5 and 4, you see, 5 and 4, and the channel is number 1. And sometimes you want to make an average of internal and external, then you have to tick this. And this is, for example, I want to enter the internal, then select. You see, internal is itself, then this is 5 and 105 and channel number 1. And the external, let's say the DLP 5, 4, channel ID is number 1. And then tick broadcast. This is how to do this. So you can choose the external, internal of it as its temperature source. Our floor heating module is very similar to our AC controller. So its work mode, you can choose fully control or slave control. And the same, you have to choose a different mode of in the DLP correspondingly. For example, if I choose fully control, then in my DLP, I do not use fully control. And in this time, I want to use my DLP as my temperature source. So I just select external and enter the subnet ID and device ID of my DLP and press save. And and the protection temperature is the same. If you want to use internal, then you enter the ID of your sensor, and if you want to use external, then enter the subnet ID and device ID of your panel. And this is working setting like PID enable, relay output. So you can set it as you like. Then the timing flash enable, if you tick this and you are able to set 3 periods for the flush, it will flush the dirt on your pipe automatically. So you can set this as your preference. In this part, you can enable this. You can choose to enable or disable of floor heating, floor cooling, cooling power, heating power. It's quite easy. So you have finished setting this. And it is the same to use the DLP panel to control it, so I don't show you how to do this. Let me move on to explain other functions. The other function is also the same as the AC controller. You can scenic heating channel setting. You can select host function, enable the host function, and the same as the AC controller. So I don't spend a lot of time in explaining it. And the target setting is quite different. For example, maybe you want to use floor heating on as a condition, and it will trigger some other targets. For example, if the floor heating is on, then I want to turn on the channel 1 of my relay module, then I have to set in this part. For example, my relay module is 5 and 1. And type, I want to turn on the first channel, then I just choose single channel control and press save. This is the target setting. If you want set floor heating off as condition and trigger some other targets, you have to do this the same. It's quite easy. And we have a pump setting in this part. The pump setting is mainly used in the scene where the water pressure is not enough and the pump needs to be selected for raising the pressure. According to the opening state of the valve, control HDL relay or other devices to control the switch of the pump. Let's enable pump number 1 and turn on the channel number 1 of my floor heating module to set this as condition, and then double click it to enter the targets of it. It is quite easy, but in normal operations, we seldom use this pump setting because the water pressure is enough. So this is This is our floor heating module. It's quite easy to program. So let's move on to talk about our sensors. Also, all of our HDR sensors are very similar. They may have different functions, but its programming or configuration is quite easy, and they are the same. Let me give you some examples. Now, this is our 7-in-1 sensor. Double-click it to enter its interface. Normally, each sensor have 2 LED, the red one and the green one. So you can enable or disable it as you like. And in this part, you can enable your sensor. Maybe you want to use temperature sensor, brightness sensor, PIR, dry contact, then you have to enable it. If you want to enable it, you have just to tick it. If you want to disable it, you can not tick it. So I will show you an example later. Now in this part, you can set the sensitivity of your sensor. Yesterday, one of my customers asked that if it will detect the motion of the fan on the ceiling. So if you don't want to be troubled by this, just adjust the passive infrared sensitivity, then you will be spared from it. And in this part, you can also set the temperature compensation. And it also has a constant lux function. You can enable it and enter the constant lux and the control cycle. It is up to you. In this part, you can test the sensor status. If you tick this and click this, so you can see the brightness of your room. Let me make some movement on the sensor. You see? So when the sensor detects movement, then the status will change. So this is very good. So you can know the real-time status of your sensor. And in this part, you can test it. Let me show you later how to use this function. Press save. And logic. Why that is logic? Sometimes you may want to turn on the channel 1 of your relay module. So when the sensor detects motion, let me show you how to do this. I will set this as an example. For example, I want light on when the PIR sensor detects motion. Light on. Always remember to make the logic number 1 or the logic you want to use valid. Otherwise, it cannot be used successfully. So please make sure to enable the logic. And press save. As I want to use the PIR sensor, then tick this. And I want to set movement as condition, then select movement. Then press save. And click these two targets configuration to set the targets. And as I just use one sensor of it, so I don't have to care about the conditions. You can choose all or and. So let me click the two targets configuration. I want to turn on the first channel of my relay module. So I have to enter the subnet ID and device ID of my relay module, and they are 5 and 1. Type single channel control. Save, so I know the software will give me some hints. So this is the channel number and this is the intensity. I want to turn it on, so I enter 100%. And the parameter number 3 is its running time. It is the time the relay takes to fully turn on the channel. So press save and press save in this part. And I want to turn the light on when there is no motion. Then I want to turn the light off when there is no motion. Then make logic number 1 valid and select PIR sensor and no movement. And press save. And go to the two targets configuration. Here is a shortcut. Sometimes you may set a great many targets, so you can choose light on and copy the selector row and then paste. So it's quite easy, but you have to remember to change the parameter of it. I want to turn the light on, so I have to enter 0 in this part and save. It is very useful if you have a great many targets, so it's a shortcut. And press save. And sometimes you may want some delay, so you can set, for example, I want to turn the light off when there is no motion in 1 minute. So I enter this, enter 1 minute. It is up to you, and press save. So after you have finished the programming, you can use this part to test. For example, let me enable my PIR sensor and change it to movement and test. So you can see so this is how to use our sensor. It is quite easy. And sometimes you may want the light to turn on when the sensor detects motion and when it is dark. So let me show you another For example, I want the light to turn on. When the sensor detects motion and it is dark, then I have to tick the brightness sensor and enter its value. For example, I think 0 to 50 lux is dark enough to turn on the light. So I enter 0 and 50 in this part and tick the PIR sensor movement. In this part, I want to combine them, so I have to change the condition into AND. So when the PIR sensor detects motion and when it is dark, then the light will turn on. Press Save and go to the two targets configuration to set. Because I just change it based on my previous settings, so I don't have to enter the subnet ID and device ID of it. So I don't change anything in this part. If you do, you have to remember to enter the subnet ID, device ID, and the parameters of it, and press Save. And here is, so maybe I want light off. Then I just have to use the PIR sensor. I don't need to use the brightness again. When the PIR sensor detects no movement, then the light will turn off automatically. So I don't have to change this. I don't have to use the brightness sensor and click two targets configuration and set the targets of it. Because I just used my previous setting, so I don't change anything. And press Save. Then this is how to program our sensor. It is quite easy. And press Save. So you have set it, you have successfully programmed it. Also, if you don't want to use two logic to realize this function, you can set the force targets configuration. For example, I want light on. When the PIR sensor detects motion, then I go to two targets configuration to set targets for light on. And then click force targets configuration to set targets for light off. Then, for example, I want to turn on the first channel of my relay module, then enter this and press Save. Press Save again. So I don't have to use this. So let me make this invalid and delete it. Press Save. It's up to you. If you want to use two logic, you can do as what I have done before. And sometimes, in many different things, you may want to disable the temperature sensor, brightness sensor, PIR sensor, and many other sensors of our sensor. Let me show you how to do this. For example, let me use DLP. For example, I want to create a scene. Let's say scene number 2, and I want to control many different devices, so I don't want to use the single control mode. So I use a combination on and off. I choose this as my mode and press save. And click the target setting. Read. Input target, you are enabled to put 99 targets. In this part, I just want to use 5 targets. Read. Then, sometimes because I have initialized all my devices, so they don't have original settings. If you do this, sometimes you may forget how many targets you have set before. Then you can read many of it. Maybe you read 10. So you can make sure that there is no targets in this part. Sometimes I always make such mistake that I have entered so many, let's say I always read 2 targets of it, but I have set, let's say 6 targets of it, so I don't know the left settings of it, and I don't know the targets. So please read as many as much. Please read many of them so you can make sure whether you have set some targets before. I want to use 3 of it. Read. I want to control the first channel of my relay module, then single control 100%, and also I want to control my curtain. And this is the curtain switch. To open my curtain number 1, then press open. And I want to disable the PIR sensor of my 7-in-1 sensor module. Then press this. You see the UV switch of my PIR sensor is number 253. Then I have to, enter the device subnet ID and device ID of my 7-in-1 sensor. That is 5 and 7, and make it choose its type. It is universal switch. Then choose universal switch as its type. And because you don't know the parameters of it, then press save. You see, this is the switch number and this is its status. And for the PIR sensor, its switch number is number 253. Then use enter. Save. Because I want to disable this sensor, then I use its off status. If you want to enable this sensor, you can choose on status. Save. Press save. So by setting like this, you can disable or enable your sensor. it is quite easy to do the programming. So always remember to use the combination mode. And if you want to put this graphic onto your DLP panel, you can just go to the function menu and click image to do that. It is quite easy. And this sensor is created by our HDL, but sometimes you may want to use the sensors of other companies. So we have another module to help you do this. Let me show you how to do this. Let me close all this. So if you don't want to use the sensors of our company, you want to use other sensors of other company, then you have to use our dry contact module. This is the interface of our 4-channel 4-zone dry contact module. And in this part, you can use its index, remark, mode. So if you want to use dry contact number 1 to work with your sensor from other company, then make sure the mode is, you have to choose it as mechanical switch and press save. For example, you always remember to give it a remark so you will never forget it. I want to use a sensor number 1 from, let's say, another company. This is another company, and press save. So you have to remember that the mode must be selected as mechanical switch so it can work with the sensor of other companies. And you can enter on delay, off delay of it. You can enable it or disable it. You can enable lock or disable lock by tick or untick it. And after setting this, let's go to target setting. For example, you may use a PIR sensor from other company, and when your PIR sensor detects motion, then you can trigger some devices like curtain, lighting, air conditioner, floor heating of our company. Then you have to set the targets in this part by click target setting. You can read it and enter the target. For example, I want to turn on the first channel of my dimmer. Then I have to enter the subnet ID and device ID of my dimmer. That is 5, 2, and its type is single channel control. And I want it to open by, as it is dimmer, so let's say 80% of it. Press save, and I want its running time 3 seconds. Save. So it is on when the mechanical switch on, and the mechanical switch have 2 status, on and off. You also have to set off. So, and I want to, when it is off, I want to turn on or turn off the first channel of my dimmer. What is my daemon? 52. And type single channel control. Okay, 0, yes. Running time. I want it takes 3 seconds to turn off. Save. And press save. So this is how to use other sensors from other company. This is its programming. It's quite easy. So by now we have finished the programming tutorial of our BusPro system. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Okay, if you guys overview of our KNX system, let's begin with our systematic argumentation. KNX Association established its headquarters in Brussels, or Belgium, in 1990, and its name was EIB Association. In 1999, EIB Association merged with BETBUS and EHS Association to form KNX Association. And the goals of the KNX Association is defining a brand new and open standard for smart homes and buildings, shaping the KNX trademark as a symbol of quality and huge supplier source, establishing KNX as the standard of smart homes and buildings around Europe and even the whole world. This is the 3 major goals of the KNX Association. And this is the international standardization of the KNX. KNX Association was founded with only 9 members, and now it has more than 300 members. The latest membership list is available at this website, so you can visit this website to check the member of the KNX Association. KNX is a well-established technology. You can take a look at this. This is listed as reference of US standard number 135. So let me tell you the differences between KNX and the traditional technology. KNX system has decentralized the layout to reduce the wiring cost, and it has high transparency of installation, and its system device can be added at any time, so it's quite convenient. And our company provides a wide range of application solutions like lighting, blinds and shutters, security, energy management, HVAC, monitoring, remote control, metering, audio and video control, and white goods. So let me tell you something about HDL and KNX. In 2006, VHDL became the first member of the manufacturers in China to join KNX Association. In 2008, became a manufacturer member of KNX China. In 2017, became a board member of the KNX China. And also in 2017, became a board member of KNX HK User Club. So now let's move on to part 2, the system installation. Our KNX system has 4 different medium: twist pair, power cord, radio frequency, and IP. And they use different channels. For twist pair, it uses separation control line, and for power cord, its existing line neutral conductor is required. And for the radio frequency, it uses radio wave, and the IP, a network line or Wi-Fi. And this is the recommended scope of application. So when you have a new construction project, you can use twisted pair. Or when you use 230 volts cable, you can use power cord. You can use radio wave or radio frequency when no line can be installed. You can use IP when a large-scale installation of a faster transmission skeleton is required. You can have a look at this page. So here are 2 general categories of our KNX special cable. And this is its specification. The difference between these 2 cables is that you see the test voltage for this cable is 4 kilovolts according to the EN 50090, and this for this cable its test voltage is 2 kilovolt according to EN 50090. So as they have different test voltage, so they have different anti-interference ability, and this one is better than this one. So you can choose one of it according to your requirements. Here is a detailed picture. Is a picture which shows the details of the cable. It is the bus connector. Its joints, extensions, or connections are released by means of bus connectors. Bus cable shall only end either at the device itself or at this terminal. Otherwise, it will cause some accidents. So make sure that bus cable is ended either at the device itself or at this terminal. It is very important. Otherwise, it may cause some bad accidents. And with this connector, you can remove the bus devices without interrupting the bus. And it has a mechanical protection against the reverse polarity. And you can see in this picture, we show you that all our modules are mounted on standard rails. So it can save some space and it can ensure the safety of the whole system. And here is an example of device connection. You see, this is the power unit. We use a bus cable to connect all of it. And here is another example of power supply unit connection. You have to make it grounding to avoid static accumulation. And it can provide a buffer time of 100 milliseconds to cope with power interruption. And it has LED status indication. The red one represents overload. The green one represents normal, and the yellow one over voltage. It is also able to supply power to other lines, but additional choke is required. And this is the distance supported by the KNX cable. The maximum distance is 1 kilometer. There is no minimum cable distance between two power supply devices and the standard central power supply device. So if the length is too long, you have to add another power supply so that it can reach as long as 1 kilometer. And this is an example of the panel installation. We also have many different panels for KNX system. So please note that when the wall box is embedded, it needs to be deeply buried, and the size is 40 millimeters from the final decorative surface to the top of the wall box. And let's move on to part 3, system topology. This is our power supply of KNX system. It can provide standard communication voltage for KNX system, and it is able to do communication cable. And it can control the communication voltage within the working range. So this is the roles of our power supply. And this is our KNX IP router. It can enable KNX zone line isolation it is able to do data filtering, and it can download commissioning data. It is also able to achieve data monitoring from ETS or monitoring device. And we also have KNX line coupler or repeater you may be more familiar with. Its common functions is it can do the expansion of the number of modules, and this function is similar to the IP router, and it also has other functions, like it can enable KNX zone line isolation and also can do data filtering. So the common topology of KNX is that it can do linear topology, star topology, and tree topology. You can choose according to your needs. But please note that the ring network is not supported in the KNX topology. If you connect your devices of KNX system like this, then you will have some communication issue. So please not do things like this. You can choose linear topology, star topology, or tree topology, but not use ring network. Generally speaking, we can use the power module and IP router to form the simplest KNX system, and this system can support up to 64 devices, excluding power supply. It is quite the same as the Bus Pro system. Here is an example of a KNX system. You have to use an IP gateway, KNX power supply, relay module, and other devices, and it's up to 64 devices. And then you can use a smart panel to control all these devices. Sometimes some systems may be even larger, more than 64 devices, so we can add a power supply and a repeater to expand the system based on the previous example. You see, if this is the system, you have connected like 64 systems of it, and then you want to connect more devices, then you can add an KNX repeater, then you can do the expansion, then you can connect other devices, and its maximum number is 64. In the same way, we can expand the system with up to 3 repeaters, and the maximum number of devices supported in this way can reach 255. It is very important. You have to remember it. We can expand the system with up to 3 repeaters. 3 repeaters. See? Line 1, line 2, and line 3. Only 3 repeaters. When our system needs to be further expanded, we can connect IP routers of different branch lines together through switches. Through IP routers, we can divide branch lines into 15 at most, and each branch line can support up to 255 devices. Under this system structure, we can support up to 15 times 255 KNX devices, and that is 3,825 devices. So you can use branch line 1, line 2, and up to line 15. It's up to 15 branch lines. This is the topology of it. Our KNX system devices can be divided into 3 categories: sensors, like panels, sensors, and actuators, relays and dimmers, and controllers, protocol control. The following is the minimization system. You see a power supply, a panel, and an actuator. This is the minimization system. Like in our Bus Pro system, we have the subnet ID and device ID to differentiate it. But in KNX system, we also have a KNX addressing mechanism. And the independent address is like the subnet ID and the device ID of the device in the Bus Pro system. The device independent address is unique in the whole system, and the group address is used to control it. And because we just have 2 days, so how to program KNX system and control it are not covered in this tutorial. Next time, if we have the training, I will show you how to control our KNX system. So please remember that you have to make each device have its own independent address. So in this case, you can make the device unique in the whole system. Then you can realize the control of it. And here is an example of the transmission of the electrical signals. The information transmission time of each bus is from 20 to 40 milliseconds. And the process of sending electrical signals. First, for example, a bus device sends a message to the bus through the bus cable, because our KNX system is also connected by the bus cable, and then the transmission starts. And the bus cable device confirms the time required for receiving the telecommunication correctly after the telecommunication is transmitted. Then it will confirm the ACK. Then all the bus devices designated to receive the telecommunication are confirmed to receive the telecommunication at the same time. So the concept of ETS. ETS, its full name is Engineering Tool Software. It's designed for solution designers and installation engineers to plan, design, and commission KNX system. ETS is registered trademark of KNX. The current version is ETS 5. Although ETS 5 is a newly developed software, its interface is as similar as the previous version as possible. ETS can only be downloaded from KNX online store. Here is their website. After downloading, please decompress and perform ETS 5 setup .exe for installation. The following operating systems are supported in principle. Please take a look at it. So this software is used to do the plan and design and the commission of the KNX system. If you want this, please contact your sales manager. This is the current ETS sales system. Customer downloads ETS installation files and via the online shop, and after you finish the payment, then you can get the final key invoice, so you can use this. It has 4 different versions: professional, demo, supplementary, light. And for the demo and light, only 5 devices are enabled. So in the professional version, full functionality, and there is no time limit. You can choose which one you want to buy or use. So after we learn about the topology and the goals of the KNX system and the wiring of our KNX system, let's move on to the product. So let me show you how many products we have of our KNX system. We have system devices like power supply, expansion, partition devices, timer, and the terminal control devices. We divided into 2 parts: actuators, lighting, curtain, air conditioner, audio visual control, sensors, sensor, dry contact, and smart panel. And this is a brief overview of our KNX product. Now let me introduce them one by one. This is the power supply. It has 3 roles. First, provide standard communication voltage for KNX system. Second, communication cable short circuit protection, and control the communication voltage within the working range. If you are interested in them, please contact your sales manager for it. And this is the KNX line coupler or repeater. This is the KNX IP router. This is the timer. It has the functions like sending the clock information to KNX bus and the timed event triggering. So with this module, you can set, like, for example, I want to open all the lights at 7 a.m. Then you can use this module to do this. We can simply divide them into 2 categories. Terminal control devices is divided into actuators and sensors. So in this part, for example, lighting, we have relay, dimmer, and standard protocol dimmer. For curtain, we have protocol control motor and AC curtain motor. So please have a look at it. Let's Sorry. So this is the terminal control devices of our system. And we have push-button smart panels. Here are some examples of the panels. This is 2-button, 3-button, 4-button. The button panels are never out of date. Users can customize the function for each button, and the panels are suitable to bedside, toilet, and etc. And we have other types of panels like this ordinary push switch or rocker switch with dry contact module, and these panels is called 232 protocol panel with 232 protocol module. And this is the sensors of our system. In some specific areas such as stairwells, walkways, entrance halls, toilets, and etc., when the sensor detects that no one around for a long time, the system will automatically dim or turn off the lights and turn the lights back to normal setting when someone approaches. It is quite the same as the busbro sensors. You see, this is our ceiling PIR lux sensor, ceiling microwave sensor, ceiling ultrasonic sensor, 7-in-1 multifunctional sensor, 8-in-1 multifunction sensor, and 12-in-1 multifunction sensor. You can choose them according to your needs. And we also have dry contact module in our KNX system. It is often used with store magnetic emergency panel, mechanical switch panel. This is the mechanical switch panel, smoke sensor, and so on to trigger preset events. Dry contact module can be used to detect the state of doors and windows, thus triggering security alarm. It can also be connected with ordinary buttons to enable on/off control